Hello, everyone. MTL Sports Podcast here, episode 52. We're going to go over some NFL action. Week 10, I believe we are on. So we're going to recap some of the games that we watched from this past Sunday. And then we have some rapid fire to end the show. So with all that being said, we're going to kick it off and get the show rolling. Doing well, but we got some more football action to go over. Week 10 NFL. Lawrence, you already know the drill. 2-minute offense. Let's hear it. What do you have? What are your takeaways from this week's action?
All right, takeaways. Saints, Vikings. Saints. It was pretty well explanatory what you had to do. Vikings. Josh Jacobs just learned his names last week. Make the NFC South look okay by winning a game versus the Minnesota Vikings with Josh Dobbs. Nope. Absolutely not. Alexander Madison went down. Cam Akers went down last week. They're down to their third string running back. It don't matter. I don't even know if Josh Dobbs knows that man's name. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Saints can absolutely not pull it off. Derek Carr did break his shoulder. Just kidding, but maybe. We don't know. Regardless of anything, we learned that Minnesota looks really good. There's a good reason why the Lions need to keep winning, because now with Josh Dobbs, it looks like the Vikings have this momentum that they kind of garnered right before the end of Kirk Cousins this season. And Josh Dobbs has not relinquished what Kirk Cousins started. So absolutely doing a great job being a filler role. He's not doing anything like crazy exceptional, but guess what? He's not doing anything crazy stupid either. He's just doing exactly what you need to do with really good weapons. And it's only going to get better because Jay Jettis comes back eventually.
Couldn't agree more.
Next one, Pittsburgh is the epitome of that meme from Breaking Bad, in which they're like, you can't keep doing this, you can't keep getting away with it. Like they
hate to see it.
Week to week, they get outgained. I mean, every week the other team's offense looks way better, and they're constantly bailed out by their defense. But at this point, Pittsburgh is losing so many defensive players. I don't know if you saw that injury they had this past weekend, but that was gnarly. Holcomb, it was gnarly. Don't look into it. You don't want to. But yeah, Pittsburgh, there's no way the momentum can be kept up. Pittsburgh is good. You got to remember back to a couple years ago. Remember when Pittsburgh started off the season like 12-0 or something like that? And then right at the very end of the season, they just collapsed really, really crazy. I think that's going to be
like
Pittsburgh
Big Ben's
this year.
last good year. Yeah.
I think that's going to be this year. Except not 12-0, obviously, but I think they're just going to collapse. I think they're just going to get a good string of hard games. I mean, they barely beat the Green Bay Packers. I actually thought the Packers had a chance to win, but they proved they did. But Jordan Love just likes to throw lovely interceptions to the other team at the very end of games.
And get the field goal blocked.
Oh, man. Anywho, next thing on the list, Tennessee, Tampa Bay. Not really going to dive into it. I tried to watch it. It was really bad. It was just bad. It was just bad, you guys. There's nothing good about that game. I guess Tampa Bay learned how to move the ball. In reality, all Tampa Bay did was learn how to move the ball one whole time on a 44-yard fluke play. Okay? That was basically the difference in the game. Cleveland, Baltimore, absolute stunner. Baltimore slapped Cleveland in the face with a glove, and Cleveland came back and slapped it in the face with the maul. So, Cleveland, honestly, I remember at the beginning of the game, and Baltimore was up by 14, and the commentators were literally talking about how Baltimore might be like the best team in the league. And as soon as they started talking about them like that, I immediately was just like, okay, well, I'm going to live bet Browns money line right now at plus 800, and I did, and they turned out to put on those boots and kick them right in the rear. So, absolutely golden jinxed by the commentators in that game. But also, like, I don't even know how you just you blow that up. Like, they had everything. They were doing no wrong, and then the fourth quarter comes, they just forget how to play football. There's only like 3 games in which they played good in the fourth quarter, and that was when they were blowing out the team too far where the other team didn't even care anymore. Jacksonville, San Fran. I didn't watch it. Well, I did. That's a lie. I did until I couldn't anymore. So it was a horrible game. McCaffrey lost his streak. They tried, though. They did try.
They did at the very end. It was pretty funny.
They did try. But sadly, Jacksonville knew exactly what was coming for him. So you knew it wasn't going to happen. Now, the upset of the week, in my opinion. Actually, no, yeah, this is the upset of the week. Arizona, Atlanta. I think you could say there was other upsets this week. But, in my opinion, I always saw there was a path where Cleveland could beat Baltimore. There wasn't many paths in which I saw Arizona could beat Atlanta, especially with Kyler Murray coming off his ACL. I know I thought it was going to be one of those things where Kyler Murray was going to need like a game or two to get his feet back underneath them. Maybe get back used to throwing the ball at those guys on a consistent basis. Nope, straight back in there, baby, and he looked amazing. I wouldn't say he looked crazy amazing. He just looked amazing. He looked like Kyler Murray of old. That we were kind of happy and like to see. Honestly, I'm astounded he even came back because Call of Duty 3, Modern Warfare 3 was coming out. It's crazy that he decided. Yeah, it's crazy he decided to come back right before that. But Tyler Murray put on a show, and honestly, at this point, whoever wins the NFC South is a clown, and they're gonna get smoked in the first round. That home field advantage cannot save any of those teams. Arthur Smith he's got so much good talent and doesn't use any of it. I feel bad for Heineke because for some reason it was too complicated for the front line to hold back the Cardinals. And there's no one incredible on that Cardinals front line.
No.
So, Detroit, LA, that was absolutely a barn burner, awesome game. I thought the Chargers had a little bit for them coming out of halftime. But honestly, I don't know what the weakness is with the Chargers. I just feel like everything is their weakness. I mean, on the defensive side of the ball. Like, Detroit beat the crap out of them the first half with the run game, and then in the second half, they beat the crap out of them with their passing game. There was just absolutely nothing the Chargers could do to stop Detroit. On the other hand, Detroit couldn't stop LA either. So it just happened that Detroit got the ball at the very end of the game, ran out the clock, kicked their field goal. Next, I'm not even going to talk about the Giants-Dallas game. No. I am not going to stroke the ego of any Dallas fan around. You do you.
We ain't talking about them boys. Not
them
today.
Them boys. Man, they made that spread look easy. They made Dak Prescott look amazing. So, anyways, on to Seattle. Washington versus Seattle. I mean, you heard me in the chat. I'm not even a Washington fan or anything, but I was talking to Hillman in that chat. They got robbed. Washington got robbed. What is it? St. Juice played really good defense on DK Metcalf, but got called a pass interference. And both of the commentators were just sitting there trying to figure out how it was pass interference. Even in slow motion, it didn't look pass interference. It looked really beautiful coverage to me. And then immediately right after that, they just started nitpicking everything. Like St. Juice's hand goes across his face mask going out of bounds. Did he hit him in the face mask? Yes. Did the face mask really take him down to the ground? No. His hand just kind of went over his face mask. He didn't use it to pull him down or anything, but it is what it is. Seattle should have gotten a field goal on that drive, and then Washington come back with a touchdown, and it would have been game over. But, it is what it is. Seattle got bailed again. Got to have someone from the NFC get in there. And then for the night game, you got the New York Jets and the Las Vegas Raiders. And an absolutely pathetic performance of a game. So what a primetime, lovely event that was.
Yes,
Zach
yes,
Wilson,
yes.
at the end of the game, had his chance, had his moment to shine, and threw an interception. So it is what it is. I tried to avoid that game. A part of me was just telling me, it was like, dude, this game's going to go over. Like, there's just no way. They got to go over. And there were so many times where both teams got so close in the end zone. And in my opinion, like, the commentators were completely correct. Like, a lot of people give Zach Wilson a lot of crap for this team being kind of bad and stuff. And yes, he does deserve it.
Yep.
But there was 3 times the Jets got a first down and then immediately was called back by a penalty. And instead of being, first down on a 3rd and 6, you got 3rd and 16. Okay, but we know Zach Wilson's not that amazing, so why you guys keep screwing up to put your quarterback in a 3rd and 16 situation? And it wasn't like, nitpicky fouls. Like, they were just incredibly stupid and bad fouls that just made you look around and go, like, what the hell? Like, have you not been playing football for your entire life? Like, it's just one of those things. It's like, I know you get paid to play this game. How are you going to do that? Like, how?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay, I like it. As far as what I watch, I'll go over some things. I only watched the 1:00 games. After that, I had some errands to run, so I didn't really partake in the 4:00 games. But I'll go over a couple. Bengals Texans. Yes, Joe Burrow did get outplayed. CJ was amazing. Had that one interception late in the game that I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but basically gifted the Bengals a chance to tie. TB should have caught that ball. If he did, we have a different story. But also, if Joey doesn't throw 2 stupid interceptions, we as in the Bengals probably win this game. So shout out to CJ. He's playing amazing. And they ran the ball really well. Singletary had 150 yards. Wow. Didn't know that. But he was good. Noah Brown played well. And then the rest of this guy's doing numbers with they're not bums because they're in the NFL, but like Noah Brown, Schultz, he's okay. Tank Dell is like 5'9". He's like shorter than me. So I don't know. CJ's been on the show. Joey, you just gotta do better, bro.
everyone wrote off Robert Woods too. They were like, "Oh, he's done."
Yes, not good. Not good. Saints Vikings. This was on multi-view for me. I will say something was just telling me to pick Vikings money line, and as much as I wanted to go Saints, I went Vikings money line because I was just like, there's no way the Vikings lose at home. Josh Dobbs has another week to learn the playbook. He looked pretty good last week. What's a week with learning the playbook? How's he gonna look then? He just looked incredible. And Hawkinson was just eating like. Dobbs was feeding them, and he just kept eating. And the Saints, even with great secondary, just couldn't stop him. So shout out to them. Dobbs is one hell of a player, and you're right. He's just doing whatever it takes to get the job done. He's a nice fill-in while First Cousins is rehabbing.
It's his running. Like Josh Dobbs, like runs at the absolute perfect time, and just gets amazing yards off a run every time.
Yep, he is mobile, and that's what makes him special. What else did I watch? Packers Steelers. This was on Red Zone. I didn't really watch too much of it. I will say the Steelers are getting hella lucky. I think they have been out yarded, so their opponent has gotten more yards on offense than them in like every single game, and yet they've won 6. It's insane. You're right. It just has to come to a stop at some point. And if Green Bay doesn't get their field goal blocked and Jordan Love doesn't throw picks, they probably win. But I don't know. This team gets lucky, and the luck has to end soon. So I don't know. We just gotta keep watching and keep waiting for the luck to run out. But they got lucky in this one. What else did I watch? And then Browns Ravens. Finally, what I've been saying for like 2 to 3 weeks about Lamar Jackson, Uncle Shay finally said on national TV. Finally, someone had the courage to say, "Hey, Lamar isn't playing well." Well, what do you fucking know? He's like thrown under 200 yards in like what the past 3 games, and in this game he throws for 223, 2 picks, and wasn't one a pick six.
Yep.
Yeah, Lamar is just not playing well, and everyone's been gassing him because look, he's 71% completion rate, best in the NFL. He's throwing the ball well, yada yada yada. Well, we all know numbers don't lie, but in this context, you have to look a little bit deeper. You need the context behind the numbers, and the numbers will tell you, hey, Lamar's sample size for throwing attempts isn't very large, so that's why his completion percentage is very high because he's not throwing the ball very much. And when he does throw the ball, he's dinking and donking because if you watch him, when he throws more than like a 30-yard pass, it's sailing. I don't know how many times I watched yesterday, and he's throwing a pass, and it sails like 20 yards to the left, 20 yards to the right, or he's like overthrowing people by 20 yards. I don't know if there's like injury-wise, if there's something wrong with Lamar, but he doesn't look like himself, and all these turnovers the past couple of weeks aren't very, what should I say, aren't very, making his case any better. So I'm not here to bash Lamar. Lamar's great, but finally someone stepped up and said, hey, he's not MVP level. Y'all are gassing him. This is concerning. Do you have anything to say about that, Lawrence?
I mean, I also just feel like he gets in a rhythm with a certain wide receiver every game, and then he can't take his eye off that wide receiver. Like in this particular game, it was Zay Flowers, and one of the reasons why it was Zay Flowers is like because Zay Flowers is always like the guy who's running across the middle, doing that like run across the middle route, and
digs and slants. Yeah,
that's just his bread and butter is those quick routes and hope the guy gets a lot of yards. And I think they said like today was like one of the first times OBJ ran across the middle, and that was his touchdown. Was he ran across the middle because OBJ's trying not to get lit up anymore. OBJ's not trying to get murdered, especially not in a regular season game. But anywho, he did it, and he got a fantastic run off of it. But I also just feel like Lamar, like he just gets in like gets in like a complacent mode, and stops spreading the ball around and just starts going to one guy, or he decides like, okay, instead of throwing it, I'm just gonna just keep carrying it instead, and then like kind of, I don't want to say like breaks up his rhythm, but you literally see a drive in which Lamar just he's just like, okay, this is my drive that I'm gonna run a bunch of times, and then you watch him the rest of the game, and his passing's just not as consistent as it was before that exact running drive. So whether they need to just let him run at the end of games to close out the clock, or they need to let him run at the beginning of the games to get what he likes to do out, there's got to be like a happy medium. And honestly, like maybe it's what he has to do, like going into the halftime. That way he can regroup and everything coming out of halftime. Like maybe just strategically allow him to, be Lamar. I'm not a running quarterback, but I like to run anyways quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think another thing we got to look at is, I said it last week, when you take away the ability for them to run and you have to make Lamar throw the ball, that's when they get beat. And what do you know? The Cleveland, as you can see, rushed for Ford had over 100 yards. Look at Baltimore. No one had even 50 yards. So when you take away the running game, you have to fall back to Lamar. Lamar's not playing well the past couple of games. That's where they get beat. Now, to be fair, the Ravens probably should have won, but then again, the defense didn't, close the deal either. So
he didn't close the deal, but also like for the running game, you can look at it a different way. Like that Mitchell, he had a 38-yard run, 39-yard run for a touchdown. Outside of that run, he lost yards every time, I think, pretty much.
And that just goes to show you, like, Cleveland's defense ain't no joke. People were really gassing up Baltimore's defense, but Cleveland's defense is no joke. So I don't know, but that's my spiel about this game. AFC North talk.
Cleveland's defense was capable enough of carrying PJ Walker to multiple wins.
This is true. And I think the last game I really watched, 49ers, it was in multi-view, but honestly, guys, they were just whooping ass. I didn't really pay attention. Um, I will say a couple things about the Commanders Seahawks really quick. I think the Commanders did get robbed. Geno looked horrible in the first half from what I saw. He definitely looked revitalized in the second half, started getting some things going, but this game was horrible. I mean, going to halftime, I was like, wow, this is horrible. And then, second half, both teams kind of picked it up, and then the yardage picked up, and then we get some more exciting plays in the third and fourth quarter. But Sam Howell looked really, really good. I mean, that last drive, like, you couldn't have asked for more. Like, the kid clearly is talented. I mean, as far as franchise quarterback goes, I don't know. It's too early to say that, but they definitely have something there because I'm just going to say it, like, someone like Pickens, someone like, I don't know, Zach Wilson, these other guys, these other young guys, like, I don't think they would have, been able to put a game winning drive like that in a hostile environment in Seattle where it's just loud as hell. They had to spend like 2 timeouts because it was too loud. He couldn't get plays in on that last drive. So shout out to him, but the defense is definitely letting them down, and their receivers are letting them down too. Because if Brian Robinson is your leading receiver, and we talked about this in the chat yesterday, but like if he's your leading receiver and Scary Terry and John Dotson, if they're not like top 2, top 3 in yards, like that's a problem. I mean, that's like you're asking to lose. You're the best receivers. You got to find a way to eat. You can't just do what you did. That's not okay.
I think that's like kind of on Belemini though, because Brian Robinson is your reading wide receiver. But that's also because he's always in there for the run plays. But they kept autoing out of the run because they couldn't run the ball.
Yeah.
But like on top of that, like Antonio Gibson, yeah, he's kind of a receiving back, but he's still also the second leading receiver.
Yeah.
So, and Hillman came in there and told us like, yeah, they're just throwing it to the backs because the backs are cooking the linebackers. Okay, why don't you try to do something like more, I guess more intricate, like put Curtis Samuel or like Jahan Dotson at the running back position, and then make them run like a Texas route on the linebackers so they can get like there's just other things you can do. I mean, if the running backs are cooking them out of a Texas route, let's just say it's a Texas route, the running back's cooking them. You put like a running back and a wide receiver back there in a shotgun formation, and then you have one of them you have the wide receiver go run a Texas on the linebacker. If the running back's cooking them, I don't even want to see what the wide receiver is going to do to him.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense. Like, I know EB's been cooking most of the season, but like, you're asking to lose if your best receivers are like down the list and your top receivers are your 2 running backs. Like, you're asking for it, bro. I mean, you can't win like that. This isn't on Ron. This is on EB and Jack Del Rio. One, because the defense still sucks, and EB, he's just like not cooking enough, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I feel like they're just putting Ron in a bad spot. Like he's just kind of the scapegoat.
Yeah.
But at this point, like I feel like the thing about the head coach is, as long as the players go out there and play hard every week, then it's not on the head coach. If the team is losing like fundamentally based on a certain group not performing, aka like this one, the wide receiving group not performing this week, because I'm not going to give the defense the hardest time, because yeah, maybe they could have stopped in that last drive, but like that drive before, like St. Juice got screwed twice, and they just basically just picked at him, and it was just not fair, not right.
Yeah.
But like, it's not Ron. The players go out there and play every week. The only week the Commanders players have not gone out there and played was against Buffalo, and at this point, that's an outlier. That was just 1 week in which, no matter what they did, just nothing could work.
Every other game they've been competitive, so I think you're right. I mean, like, they just want that man out of there, and it's I feel bad for him because he's a good coach, he may not be like the coach for them, but he's a good coach. And where they were a couple years ago, like you gotta admit, Ron put them in a better situation. So I don't know if they just want that man out there though. It sucks.
It's just rough for him
go
because
ahead.
like if you look at his conference, like he's got arguably the second best conference.
Yeah, the
And-
NFC East is no joke.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Giants aren't very good, but the rest of them are. I think the Commanders are just a little bit. I think it might be just a little bit of growing pains with the rookie quarterback, but like they've almost beat the Eagles twice.
Yep.
Like that's just a lot of credit right there. Like I know a lot of people are almost beating the Eagles every week, but no one is like no one was as close as they were so far. Other than who beat the Eagles again? I forgot already. The Jets. Besides the Jets beating the Eagles, no other team has, really looked that close to beating the Eagles. And the Jets only beat the Eagles because, well, Jalen Hurts just had a completely just didn't show up at all week.
Yeah, Jets won 20-14. Yeah, that was the game that Jalen Hurts that was a fluke game. He just played horrible.
Yeah. And the thing about the Commanders is Jalen Hurts is playing his best games against them, and they're still almost beating him.
Yeah, they're barely winning. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Hopefully, I mean, honestly, they have, 2 more losses before they're out of it. I think like we said, to start the year, 9-8 is going to get someone in the NFC into the playoffs. So, to me, they have 2 more losses in them before you can count them out. The Commanders, that is.
Yeah, because all you have to worry about, well, in reality, it's Eagles Cowboys. One of them's going to win it. More likely, it's Eagles. So Cowboys making our 5th seed. Vikings, Seahawks, 6 and 7. Basically, if you're Washington, you just got to keep up with either Seattle or you got to keep up with the Vikings. And unfortunately, now you're going to have a tiebreak. It's just going to work against you against Seattle. So if you're the Commanders, you got to keep pace with the Vikings. And you just got to hope that, there's a reason why Josh Dobbs wasn't a starter beforehand. Like, you're just going to have to hope Josh Dobbs just, turns out
good enough.
Just doesn't turn into, big Kirko. Because all he has to do is be efficient, and they're going to win games.
Mm-hmm.
So,
couldn't agree more. All right, y'all. That's it with Week 10. We're going to wrap up with some rapid fire. We got some NBA to talk about. This is rapid fire. Let's go over. I guess we can start on Friday because Friday it's like the second week of in-season tournament games. Friday, I would say it was some pretty good games. Do you want to go over any of the games you watched, Lawrence? Did you watch any on last Friday?
I mean, I can tell you what game I did watch.
All right.
I watched that Rockets Pelicans. Because we kind of talked about like one of those younger teams kind of going out there and showing up during the in-season tournament. And based on the things we talked about, we were talking about the Mavericks. I watched that one too. Winky winky. But I watched the Rockets because I feel like the Rockets are, we were like, if the Rockets were in a different, group, there's a good chance like they can come out of there as a winner. Just because it feels like they have a lot of fight in that team. And my golly, I think we're onto something with the Rockets. If they were in a different group, there's 100% a chance that they come out of it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just like a toughness they have. But it really showed up for them, in my opinion.
Yeah, they played well. They're young, but I mean, with the vets they added, like Van Fleet and Dylan Brooks, like I think that was just enough veterans that really made a difference because they're playing hard, and Ime's doing a pretty good job so far. I can't. And Jabari Smith, he has flashes here and there, but Jalen Green is looking like Jalen Green of last year. So, nothing bad to say about that.
I mean, I know which one you watched, and I know which one I watched. I got the Instagram message, and I thought that was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, so I definitely I try to watch all of them, but I think League Pass you can only multi-view 4 as well, so I couldn't get everything on at once. But I definitely watched the Mavs Clippers, and the Mavericks just whooped up on them. That was pretty easy to see. The Clippers are winless without James Harden, so I don't know if he's making the difference that they thought he was going to make. But yeah, they got their ass whooped. PG laid an egg, messed up my parlay because I would have had like $300. But that's a story for another day. I mean, Luka dropped like 40, didn't he? Dropped like 42. I mean, or 44.
Yeah, 44.
I mean, then if y'all seen that meme of, it's not even a meme. Big Perk was live on TV. He was like, "Let me show you what they did." This man had his belt off and started beating that chick, and you could tell like all the white people in the audience, like Brian Windhorst and whoever else was sitting on the other side, was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, Luka just whipped him. There was just a stretch in time in which there was nothing that Luka could do wrong, and then I feel like Luka did a great job of including Kyrie during his little mini run that he had. And
Yeah.
Kyrie absolutely had a phenomenal game, and I don't know what it was, but I feel like just playing the Clippers, playing other big stars, Kyrie just had something come out there. He just had to show him up a little bit. I don't know if that was because Harden was on that team or what, but I just think the Clippers, in my opinion, I think getting Harden, you just gave up way too many pieces. And I feel like you shouldn't have gotten rid of the pieces that you did get rid of. And when I say that,
your defensive guys, like when PG and Kawhi go down, you're not gonna have anyone that plays defense.
Because like Nicholas Batum getting traded and Covington didn't make any sense. Maybe that's what the 76ers wanted because they're like, oh well, Maxi's going crazy, so I just want 50 defense.
Last night.
So I just want defense. I know Embiid's gonna give me 30 a night, and I get Maxi to give me 30 a night. That's 60 points automatically.
Tobias is scoring like 18 a game.
Tobias is going to give me we'll round it down to 15 on a bad night. Like Tobias gives me 15. Night. Okay, we're pretty much set. People are going to fill in the cracks here and there. But like a person I thought they should have gotten rid of, maybe not Bones Highland because, I kind of like what he might become. But like Norman Powell is being wasted. Like 11 minutes. He doesn't do anything when he does come on. He doesn't really play defense. Just absolutely waste of time being on that team. And then since you were going to bring in James Harden, like Coffee, maybe you need him for like depth purposes and stuff like that. But like now you're not going to use him. Like those were better trade pieces. I mean trade assets that I think you could have used instead. But you decided to get rid of all your defense, and so now when you're on your starting lineup, like. Okay, Russell Westbrook's not going to play amazing defense, but he'll play hustly defense is the best way to put it.
Yeah. But I agree.
But then again, it's like you're going to ask Kawhi to score what? 20, 25 and 3 steals and however many you're going to ask him to like go play the best player on their team and then also drop 30 on him. Like that's not happening. Like he can get you 20 while also guarding their best player. Like you're asking him to do a whole lot, and he's not known for going out and doing a whole lot outside of that Raptor season in the beginning part of his Spurs season. And then Paul George is like the absolute like wild card. That's the best way to say it. Because he'll give you like 5 games or straight, yes, that's PG. And then as soon as something that's called a tournament is in the name or title, gone.
And there he goes. He's only had like one run was it like 2 years ago when he carried them to the Western Conference Finals and then he was out of gas. So yeah. No, you made a good point there. Like Norman Powell, I mean, last year he was second or runner up and 6th man of the year. They only got James Harden, so like they're kind of staggering the minutes. So like it's not just Norman Powell and the bench guys. It's like either Harden, Powell and the bench guys, or Russ, Powell and the bench guys, and it's like he's just not doing well. So it's kind of a waste. And then same with the other guys like Terrence Mann and Coffee. Like they're not gonna have time to shine because they're just sitting in a corner while you got Mr. Dribble, and then Russ who also dribbles, and then the other two guys who need to get their own. So I don't know. It's just a weird combination. I don't know if it's gonna work.
Yeah, because I mean the greatest thing about the thing that they make about Covington is like Covington is just he sits in a corner and he shoots threes, and then he plays really good defense. That's exactly what you need in a Russell Westbrook-led offense where he takes up the court and he drives in the lane and then does something stupid and decides to pass it out to the three-point line. I just feel like either, like you said, Mann, Coffee, or Powell, like you should have gotten rid of them with a Batum if you were going to get rid of Batum. But I still don't understand getting rid of the Batum part either because that was also good defense.
Yeah.
And he can also just have those nights where he gets you 20. So, but instead you gave it to the 76ers, in which now Batum's going to play really good defense for them. So Maxey doesn't have to. And then he'll just drop random 15 points a night.
This is true. The game I really, really watched, Lakers Suns. This was a great game. Anthony Davis. Was this the game he went down? I think he did. He only had 18. Wasn't playing really well. No, he went down the next game. But LeBron had 32 against KD, and then KD had 38. And Beal, his second game back, at 24. Like, this was a hell of a game. And I think the Lakers were down heading into the... Yeah, so they were down heading into the fourth. And then got some timely stops. Cam Reddish is really showing out. You can tell obviously Cam Reddish was highly recruited in college. Played at Duke with Zion and what's the guy off the Knicks? RJ Barrett. He was like the third amigo to that trio. He also was drafted high. Just teams didn't know how to use him, and they just didn't, instill enough confidence in him. And then look at him. LeBron's giving him the ball. LeBron's pushing for him to start.
LeBron coached him up.
He was 5 or 10, 17 points, some good rebounds. Steals.
You just look at Cam Reddish's body frame, right?
Yeah.
If there's one guy in the league who's going to know how to tell him how to use that body frame, it's freaking LeBron James.
Exactly.
He literally has the epitome of what he is. Well, LeBron's a way better athlete, but the body frame is exactly the same. Cam is just, he's not the tallest, but he's absolutely built, but he's just super mobile for the way he's built. So it's just really unfair. But, if there's going to be someone to coach that kind of guy up, give me LeBron.
Yeah. And it's usually, you play with LeBron, you go down because people fall under the pressure. But Cam's one of the rare guys that just, he caught the magic. He just started playing well. And then he's going to be one of the guys that gets paid because of LeBron. He's going to be one of those guys. He's playing pretty well.
I think all LeBron cares about is a guy who has talent and is willing to hustle on the court while he's on the court. That's why Austin Reeves does so well with him. Because he knows Austin Reeves is going to give him everything he's got, even if it might not be the best.
Yeah. No, I agree. Moving on to Saturday, my Heatles. They beat the Hawks. No Jimmy, no Hero. Hero's out for at least a month. So it was just Bam, Duncan, Lowry, and Jaime Jaquez Jr., maybe Rookie of the Year. We'll see. He dropped 20. Made some money off of him. Thank you, Jaime Jaquez. Bam played well. Jay Rich played well coming off the bench on the Hawks. And Trae Young and Murray, they started off the game really, really bad. I think they were both in the single digits by halftime, and then they kind of kicked it into second gear in the second half. But it wasn't as close as the score. Miami was up at some points, about 20, but it was still impressive without, Jimmy and Hero. Those are your two leading scorers, so it was pretty impressive. Did you watch any games on Saturday?
The only game I watched on Saturday was the Magic, because I was really begging for Paulo to get over 20 points, and I was kind of nervous he wasn't going to get it. He squeaked through for
Got
me.
26.
He squeaked through for me. But I mean, I just really was interested. I'm just interested in watching the Bucks right now because does NBA analysts just, they always talk about these teams and they're like, oh, well, they're just going through these changes and stuff. I just don't think you can look at this Bucks team and just think on every given night like in the last couple years, yeah, they're gonna win this game. I just don't feel that way anymore about the Bucks. They're like, almost every given night, like they should be the favorite or big favorites. Because kind of, in my opinion, the defense just doesn't look there at the time. Or
the defense is non-existent this year.
And other times, like they just either try to focus way too hard on defense, and then the scoring doesn't happen, or they focus on the scoring and then the defense doesn't happen, or they try to mixture of both, and then the team just kind of looks stagnant and can't get anything going. So I mean, there's just a lot going on with the team, and otherwise than that, it's just like, which team is going to show up for me on every other night? I also remember like Lillard didn't play in this game.
Yeah, he has a calf issue. So I mean, that's the thing that we said. Like, if you have three players with injury histories. Giannis gets hurt occasionally, and Dame damn sure gets hurt a lot, and so does Chris Middleton. So it's like your three best players are all injury prone, or let's say two are very much injury prone, and then one occasionally gets hurt. Like he's not really an Iron Man, but he kind of is. So it's just interesting. I don't know.
But who
Drew
was
Holiday was that Iron Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who was the real Iron Man? Holiday.
Yeah, so I don't really find myself watching Bucks games this year. I would say like past couple of years I would watch them, but now I'm just like, they're just not playing well.
A team that I think is playing well is the Knicks. But I also feel like the Knicks are that team that the Knicks are gonna have to make a trade by the trade deadline in order to add another piece to that puzzle. Because there's just no way with the pieces they have that they can win the whole thing.
They're kind of in a holding pattern though, because it's pretty obvious that they want one of Donovan Mitchell or Joel Embiid, and so they're just like hoarding these draft picks and players in hopes that one of them asks out in the next year or so. So I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I mean it's pretty evident that's their plan.
Well, they're gonna have to really hope that the Cavs just stumble and never really get anything going this year, because now they're a little hit or miss. Garland's a little bit of an issue because he's constantly in and out of the lineup getting with his injuries. But I'm pretty sure Donovan Mitchell already said he didn't want to re-sign.
He declined it. He declined the first one.
If you already know he doesn't want to resign, and the Knicks give you 4 draft picks and I don't know, RJ Barrett, are you gonna jump on it? Like, it's just one of those things. I don't know if they would want RJ Barrett, because I think that time at that point you get too many tall towers at that point. I know RJ Barrett's not a giant like Allen and Mobley, but he's kind of a little taller for his position. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like the Cavs, I don't think they won't have like a fire sale because they still have Jared Allen, they still have Mobley, they still have Garland. Like there's no need to fully break up the team, but Donovan already declined the 3-year extension. This offseason is the 4-year extension, which is the max. So if he declines that, then you're going to have to trade him. So maybe you just do it early if they don't stay consistent. I don't know. Last night's games, only game I really saw was Miami Spurs. Miami, it was back and forth. Bam actually played well against Wemby. I thought that, the height, having to guard him would kind of lower his points, but he had 24 points. And I think Jimmy had like 20 or 21. Well, no, he had 19, but they played well. Duncan is playing well as he ever played. 4 threes after Saturday night. He didn't really shoot the ball too well. And then we get some other pieces stepping up, like K-Love stepped up, Drew Smith, who I was roasting in the beginning of the season. He's actually a competent player so far. I mean, he gets cooked a little bit, but he does get some timely steals and blocks, so he's not all that bad. And then Jaime Jaquez, I think you can pencil him in for a good, consistent 10 points a night because he's going to get some minutes. And then I watched the Timberwolves Warriors and Lakers Trailblazers. Timberwolves Warriors, Ant is that man, and Steph just, to me, I don't think Steph has enough help. Like Clay is sucking. Wiggins
Clay is definitely sucking.
Wiggins is, I don't know what's wrong with him. He's just not himself. And you can't ask too much from Chris Paul. So you're basically left with Dario Saric and Kuminga, and yeah, that's just not enough. You're not going to win too many games if you have to rely on those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I put on Klay Thompson for my fantasy league basketball for the threes, and dude, he's just not it anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, and I mean that's why they didn't re-sign him, because he's been up and down too much. And then
it says Lakers, to say the Lakers Trailblazers just look better without Scoot Henderson. So,
they were playing really well, and this Mays kid, he's really good. 15 points, 12 assists. Grant had kind of a poop game in the beginning, but the fourth quarter he kind of lit it up. Ayton's a dud, bro. I think he's a bust. I think he's a bust. But Matisse Thybulle played surprisingly well, and so did Sharp. So yeah, I think it just, from the couple games that I watched, they definitely flow a little bit, not a little bit, a lot better without Scoot and Simons. Like when those two aren't in the game, aren't playing, like, I don't know, they play like a different team. And Anthony Davis can win a game without LeBron, so that's something to be proud of, I guess.
Yeah, I just feel like Scoot has a lot of development to make, because I mean, the few games I watched, because I put him, I drafted him in fantasy because I thought maybe there was a chance he might do something.
No.
And it's just like, if I was an athletic god, like half those guys are on the court, like I can tell what you're about to do before you do it. And I remember his first game he played in, he had like 3 blocked shots. Because like, oh dude, I literally saw you about to make that layup from like 20 minutes ago before you even drove the lane. I knew what you wanted to do. It wasn't hard to see that. Like, I see LeBron, I see freaking Russell Westbrook do that 20 nights ago, but like Russell did it in 2 seconds and you did it in 5. I'm gonna block the shit out of you. And then Simons is just a ball hog when he's out there.
Yeah,
I feel like he just never got away from that mindset from when he was with Lillard, because he knew he had to get his when he was with Lillard. But now that there's no more Lillard, like, dude, you can pass the ball a little bit, because at the end of the day, like, they're probably going to try to give it to you at the end of the shot clock. You might be the guy. Which in the past he was never the guy, but half the time he just runs down there, he passes the ball to somebody, he tells him to get the ball back to him, and then does something stupid.
Jacks up a 3.
So I feel like that if the Trailblazers are smart, like, you got to be looking for a place to move Brogdon. But at this point, like, man, maybe Brogdon doesn't want to move. Who knows? Because I didn't think he was even going to start. And the fact that he, like, well, I didn't think he was going to play. I'm sorry, not start. But I didn't think he was going to play. And the fact that he, like, started coming off the bench, and at this point, like, he starts some nights, like, he's doing a lot more than I thought he would with the team. So maybe Brogdon just wants to play, but I feel like Simons is that kind of character, like, maybe we kind of do have to trade him, because if every game he doesn't play, we do better, there might be some tell there.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Everything you said, 100%. That's pretty much it, y'all. With NBA action this past weekend, we got some games going on. There's some in-season tournament games tomorrow, so we'll probably cover those on Wednesday. But that's the end of Rapid Fire. Anything else pressing before we head on out of here?
Oof. Well, not to my knowledge. Nothing too pressing.
Go Broncos spread. Please cover the spread. I think they will.
I just think the Bills, I don't know who they are at the moment.
They're struggling.
I feel like that defense is something that Russ can really cook on, but I don't think Russ can win.
No, they're not winning, but they'll come close.
I don't know.
Right,
I told you about that bet. Someone put $500K on the Broncos money line. That was either the worst $500,000 I've ever seen, or it might be the best.
He's gonna be a millionaire after this. Like that guy that fit the money on the Texans yesterday. It's what, $5 million? That lucky mother sucker. Why can't it happen to me, y'all? Anyway, we're gonna head out, y'all. We'll see you on Wednesday/Thursday. NTL Sports Podcast, and we're out.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me